Hi there and welcome to my channel. Today's project is for Scrapbook Nerd, and this week we were asked to work with Pink Paislee's Auburn Lane collection. This particular collection is very fall oriented. It has really rich autumn colors in the palette and lots of beautiful florals. So my idea for this particular layout is to fussy cut a lot of the florals from papers number 3 and number 6 and use them as to create a large cluster of flowers that are wrapped around a piece of paper on this layer. As you can see right now, I am actually going to use one of the pattern papers, this is number 4, as the background for my layout, and I'm choosing to use it because it has this very soft newsprint paper, but it has this really big number, so I want to cover those numbers. I want it to be as closer to white, so I am going to choose a piece of paper from paper 10 just to cover the big lot what the numbers are. And my idea is to actually kind of center the picture there and have the clusters coming off the sides of the paper. So for this, as you saw, I kind of ran a 4-inch strip from the number 10 paper, and all I'm doing is marking the page just to give me an idea where I'm going to have the picture. And then I'm going to use yeso just to cover some of the area because I don't want to bring some of the mixed media. So all I'm doing is using my brush and applying it around the areas that are marked with the pen. And then I'm going to set it aside to drying. Yeso dries really fast, but I want to make sure that it completely dries before I go into my next step. So I'm going to take the time now to fussy cut. And I love fussy cutting elements. I find it very stress relieving, but it does take some time, especially if you want to be very delicate and you want to have the images. And in this particular case, I chose to cut them out of the two papers just to illustrate something. When I'm cutting off the dark background, I want to make sure that none of the dark, of the black in this case, of the background shows on the flowers. So all I'm doing is taking my, you can use any type of scissors, but I actually enjoy cutting the paper with large scissors. And all I'm doing is being very careful and very detailed to take every single piece of the black background from the florals. I want the florals to stand out, and I think if it has a black background, it's gonna bring the eye to it, and it's gonna make it pop, and sometimes it deforms the image. So all I'm doing is very carefully taking all the black edges of the paper. Now I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do the same with the florals in paper number 3, I believe. And these are actually coming out white background. So my choice when I'm fussy cutting something out of a white background is to leave a very tiny border around the image. This just helps me, since I work a lot with white backgrounds, it just helps me kind of differentiate the edges of the florals, especially if I'm going to layer them. And in this case, because I'm going to layer them with a lot of images that look the same, it creates a little bit of a division so that it doesn't muddle all the images. It actually, you can see the difference in them. So like I said, there's two that's why I cut it different papers. When I'm cutting it out of the dark background, I'm making sure that none of the dark background shows up, so it doesn't make the image pop and it looks I don't know, it looks kind of muddy around it. And when I'm cutting it out of white background, I'm gonna make sure that I leave a tiny little border around the image, just so that when I layer them, they don't get. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of mixed media to the background. And my idea, I'm gonna use actually Distress Oxides. And my idea behind it is that I wanna create a little bit of a shadow just to give the idea that there is a lot of flowers being layered. And for this, I am going to use the colors that are similar to the ones used in the flowers. And in this case, I'm using peeled paint, crushed olives, tea-dyed, yes, tater rose, fossilized amber, and a little bit of spun sugar. And all I'm doing is using one of my ink blenders and just going in circular motion. It's gonna look a little bit choppy. It's gonna look like it doesn't look smooth, but it's okay. And that's one of the reasons why I put yeso at the bottom. It just makes it easier for me to blend the ink in place. And as you can see, it's not gonna look that beautiful, but it's okay. It's gonna be covered by the flowers that I'm gonna layer, and it's actually gonna help me bring a little bit of the shadow so that it looks like I have, like I said, a lot of flowers in the background. Now what I'm doing right now is I'm adding a little bit of droplets of the color. So all I did is stamp the ink on my craft mat, add a little bit of water, and then I'm just gonna sprinkle it around the oxide. And that's gonna take a little bit of the ink out. It's gonna give you that bleached feel to the page, and I love it. Now, when I decided to layer the paper on the background, I realized that I needed to bring a little bit of extra color. I didn't want to bring a small detail to the side just to help me with the layering of the flowers. For this, I cut two strips of paper from one of the papers in the collection and just added them to the sides of the big mustard strip. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to add a piece of a cardstock behind it. I want a little bit of a lift, not a lot, just a lift, just to help me with the layering of the flowers and also to bring a little bit more attention to the picture that I'm going to use. This is a picture of my family we went to a family event, and I took a picture of my mom, my husband, and the kids, and I just want to document it. And all I'm doing is I'm using actually some of the papers from the 6x8 paper pad just to frame the picture and to add a layer. Very simple, because I know that I want to bring a lot of florals, so I want to make sure that it stands out. And as you can see, I added some foam adhesive and I put it in place. Now all I'm going to do is start layering the flowers. And for this, I am using two foam adhesive behind it. I'm using actually foam squares and actually foam tape. And all I'm doing is I'm using different widths or different heights of foam adhesive just to help me with the layering. And also I am going to start adding the flowers using taking advantage of the two pieces of paper that I added. So you're going to see that I choose to layer some of the pictures underneath the little strip of paper that I added, and some in between the mustard paper and the small strip of paper. And then I'm going to add also the foam adhesive so that it creates sort of movement on the flowers. So some of them is going to look that they're popping off the page while other parts are hidden, and it just helps to create, like I said, movement and more of a real feel to the layout. I don't want it to be flat. I want to have dimension, and that's about it. It took some time. I wanted to make sure that there was enough leaves in behind the flowers and that there was enough color, that mustard color and that pink hue showed up. Once I have that done, it's not busy, but it's plenty of embellishment, so I have to go simple with the rest of the layout. And all I'm going to do is add a few of the washi labels. I'm going to add a few to the picture and also one to the top cluster that I created. And all I'm doing right now, you can see, is I'm adding the title. I'm taking advantage of the alphas that come in the collection, both the sets of alphas, the small ones to just add the grateful, and the big alphas, the floral ones, to add the U. After that, like I said, I'm just adding a few elements, and to finish the page, I added a few drops of gold ink. This is Heidi Swapp's Color Shine, and also you don't see it on camera, but I added some Nouveau drops, the clear pink ones, and also some of the sequins that comes in the collection, just to bring a little bit more of the shine to the page. You're gonna see that I add my lines of journal. I choose to add them on the right hand side of the page because I didn't want to add it on the left side. It's already heavy enough. I want to balance the page, and that's about it. This layout took no time to construct. What took some time was to firstly cut the flowers, because I wanted to be very careful. I wanted to be very detailed. I wanted, like I said, mentioned before, I wanted to make sure that none of the dark background came into the layout, and also to make sure that there was very detailed, because I want them to look very nice when they're layered. And I hope you try it. Let me know if you have any questions. You can check all the materials at Scrapbook Nerd. They have single sheets of paper and a lot of new stuff too that's been arriving lately. So let me know if you have any questions about it. Don't hesitate to contact me. I would love to help you. And you can check more details of this layout and the Scrapbook Nerd blog. And thank you so much for joining me today. Take care.